Hello, welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady. Guys, so for today's passage, this is what we're going to be solving. Now, if you want to take this up as a test, all you can do is go on to www.gurukul.org.in and register for the 100 days to CAT test series. Now in this series we'd be uploading 100 tests of quant, LRDI and verbal ability to keep you consistent with your practice and help you crack CAT 2025. Pause the video here, please read your first paragraph and then we're going to go forward into the second paragraph. Alright, so pause the video here, read the second paragraph, then we're going to go into the questions. So this is your first question. Please take 1 minute, answer this question, pause the video here. Second question, pause the video here, don't take more than 1 minute. Third question, pause the video here, don't take more than a minute guys. And this is your fourth question, pause the video here. Now once you're done, please put down all your answers in the comment box. Let's check how many of you got all the 4 correct and then we'll get into the passage and question explanations. So for the passage explanation, what is he saying? Democracy is a powerful tool of disrupting status quo, challenging power equations, shaking up cliques and cartels, pockets of monopoly and exclusivity. So basically democracy is a powerful way of disrupting, that means changing, okay, status quo. Status quo means something that is currently in use. Okay, the current situation, basically, yeah, we can just take it as the current situation. Okay, challenging the power equation, shaking up cliques and cartels. What are these cliques and cartels? Cliques and cartels are organizations that set particular price on each commodity. Okay, on commodities, thereby they control these things. Okay, so pockets of monopoly and exclusivity, great. So the gift of modern democracy is that it affects the change of power through ballot box. So the good part about democracy is that it can change the entire power just by a ballot box. Ballot box is where you cast your vote, right? So this is a great achievement that we have found means of transferring power without bloodshed to disrupt power non-violently. Again, this is a very simple sentence. He's saying that it's a non-violent means of transferring power. Okay, however, once we choose to respect the ballot box, it means that we have tacitly agreed to subordinate our personal will to the will of the collective. Okay, that means implicitly, okay, implicitly we have agreed that our wishes, okay, are not bigger than the wishes of the collective union, that means of all the people of the country together. Does this mean that we have lost our right to protest? Far from it. What does this part mean? It means that we have still not lost our right to protest. Okay, it's vital to retain our individual freedom and of speech and expression, our capacity to discern and dissent. Okay, discern. Okay, what does discern mean? To separate right from wrong. Yes, so to discern and dissent, to dialogue and debate. So we have to keep our own rights with us. We have to keep the right of freedom of speech and expression with us. A democracy is only functional when these individual freedoms are proudly enshrined and robustly protected. That means what? A democracy will only become functional or will only be considered as functional if these freedoms and rights are protected and they are at the peak. Okay, they should be at the peak. Before we become vociferous champions, okay, vociferous, loud and passionate. Alright guys, so if you do not know the meanings of these words, please make a note of all this. Okay, so before we become the vociferous champions of the cause of individual freedom, it's imperative that we first become individuals. That means before we start, this loud and passionate campaign about, individual freedom and all, first let's become an individual. Okay, a system that found ways to manipulate groups to vote en masse. Again, what is vote en masse? Okay, collectively vote. Okay, based on some kind of a caste, creed, okay, gender, all right, maybe ideology. So if everyone is voting together, then there's no individuality, right? That's what he has given. So that is not a true democracy. It is feudalism in the democratic garb. What is garb? Garb is nothing but clothing. Right, so it is just feudalism. Feudalism is that old age policy where the nobility had all these, lands and all taken from the crown or, the king in exchange for some kind of a protection, right? So it's just feudalism in democratic garb, right? It's not a thriving democracy. So a thriving democracy, like an authentic spiritual process, is based on the notion of individual freedom. So just like a spiritual process, a thriving democracy also should focus on individual freedom, right? But only when individuals look beyond the lure of populist political and religious propaganda can true democracy and true spirituality be born. So he's also telling us that only when people, individuals look beyond the lure, that means beyond the things that are attracting them from these populist political and religious propaganda, they should think away from these things. Only then can they focus on the true democracy, right? In both cases, individuals must emerge from peer pressure and cronyism, a narrow group of interests and powerful lobbies. So in both these cases, in spirituality and as well as the democracy, the individuals must rise above nepotism. This cronyism is another word for nepotism. Okay, so what does it mean? It means favoring your relatives, friends, whatever you want to take it as. Okay, so we have to rise up above these personal biases. Only then we can be an individual who's actually working towards a democracy. That is what he's trying to tell us. Now, a true spiritual process is never authoritarian. Okay, that means there's no one person who's controlling all this spiritual process. It is always fluid, open-ended, and open to debate. That means what? It keeps on flowing, it keeps on going, and it's open-ended. That means there are multiple interpretations that might come in, and it is always open to debate. That means one person can put his point of view, try to convince the other person of his point of view without any fear, right? This has always been the view of spirituality in the subcontinent. This is a culture of quest, not commandment. So quest means always searching, right? Searching for a new meaning. So in the subcontinent, that means in India, spirituality has always been about a search. It's never been about a commandment. It's never been that, some God has said something and we have to blindly follow that. Here, what we consider to be sacred can be debated. That's the whole meaning what I was trying to explain you. It does not have to be obeyed. So you don't need to blindly obey anything. You can debate your systems about what is sacred, why it's considered sacred as well. Even when beings were believed to be divine appeared in this land from Shiva to Krishna, we did not simply obey them. We questioned them, debated with them. Likewise, the Indian constitution is also not a set of commandments. That means what are we learning now? We're learning that yes, just like those spiritual, sacred, divine people, we have questioned them also. So Indian constitution is also, or Indian constitution should also be open to questioning. If it were, that means if it were a set of commandments, it would be the political equivalent of religious authoritarianism. So just like how religious authoritarianism happens, that something is written in a book and you have to blindly obey all of it. If we take Indian constitution to be a set of commandments, that means blind obedience towards the Indian constitution, then it will be nothing but a political version of the religious authoritarianism. Once you emerge as an individual, it is important to realize that your freedom has an impact on others. So once you become an individual, you need to know that your freedom has some kind of an impact on the people around you as well. To live in a democracy means we have agreed to allow everyone the right to the same freedoms. You may choose to protest a policy or denounce a film, but if you shut down a city to express your rage, you're muzzling with other people's liberties as well. That means what? Because you're in a democracy, you do something in a constitutional, in a legal manner, with the right to dissent that you have. But if you're burning down things, if you're shutting down cities just to show your dissatisfaction, then you're encroaching upon other people's liberties as well, which is a wrong notion to have. This is personal whim masquerading as freedom. So these are your personal wishes. Whim is nothing but wishes. Masquerading means putting on a mask. Alright, masquerading as freedom, irresponsibility masquerading as individual initiative. So he's just saying that when you do things like this, you're just using democracy, or you're using the freedoms that have been given to you just to make sure that other people are suffering, in a way that you are telling that this whole thing is good for them. This is the freedom that they've been giving. This is the individual initiative that you have taken. So the question we must ask ourselves as a nation is this: are we exercising our individual freedom constructively or destructively? Are we doing it in a right manner, in a good manner, or are we doing bad things with our individual freedom? Is freedom truly empowering, or is sabotaging citizens' rights to well-being? So is it actually making them better off, or is it destroying them, or is it destroying their well-being? Okay, before we speak of individual freedom, we have to honestly ask a more fundamental question: have we truly become responsible individuals yet? So here he's posing a very challenging question as such. Okay, now the question over here is that only if you have become a responsible individual can you uplift democracy. So have you really become an responsible individual yet? Okay, now that we've understood the entire passage, let's get into the questions. So question number 1 says, the author claims that democracy is a formidable system to bring about a shift in how power is exercised because. So this is one of the most powerful systems. Okay, to bring a shift in power. How is it a powerful system? It empowers citizens to make a responsible voting decision based on the competence of representatives and not on populist propaganda. Yes, very well spoken. This is how we've seen about shifting of the status quo, challenging power dynamics and all. So all of that kind of comes into this option. So this is a very good option for me to choose, but I'm not going to just mark it off. Let me look at the other options. If I don't find anything better, then definitely we'll go with A as our answer. It provides citizens with the right to protest. Now this is a partial scope choice. There's only very less mention about this, so I'm going to eliminate this. It has the ability to disrupt the incumbent power structures. Yes, it is true, it has the ability, but again, this is a more broader option than this. So we're going to take this off also as a partial scope choice. It enables citizens to exercise the power by electing representatives from among themselves for a fixed term. Again, see what we are talking about over here versus what we are seeing over here, we have that people are making responsible voting choices. They're making responsible voting decisions. Okay, we have never spoken about, how these representatives are coming just for a fixed term and all. We have seen that yes, power can be shifted. So again, this might not be our best answer. The best answer so far should be A. So let's go to the second question. According to the passage, all of the following hypothetical events would undermine democracy. That means they would bring down the actual purpose or actual scope of democracy, except, that means what is that one thing that does not undermine democracy? Okay, now a political party filed a public interest litigation to ban a film which is based on true events in the life of that party's founder. Great, see, they didn't go on bashing the buses, or they didn't go on damaging private vehicles, they didn't do anything to the shops. They've not used their right to dissent in an illegitimate manner. They've used their right to dissent in a very legitimate manner. So this is a good option to begin with. Okay. In the national elections, voters from a particular state voted en masse for the left-wing Communist Party. Now, this is an ideological-based mass voting which is a threat to democracy. So this should not be my correct answer. In the Indian Farmers Association has endorsed right-wing nationalist party in general elections since the party has promised full loan waivers. Again, just because the party has promised something, if you are voting, all of you are supporting it and voting it, okay, it is the group ideology that's coming. You're not working as individuals, which the author might not really agree with. So this is going to be my wrong answer. Workers of a state level party ransacked shops that did not have signboards in the state's official language. See, both personally and as per the passage, this should not be done. This is not the right thing to do. You can't ransack shops. That's not democratic at all. Everyone has their own right of expression. So this undermines democracy for sure. The only thing that does not undermine democracy is A. So A should be my correct answer. Okay. Now question number 3. What is the central idea of the passage? So the central idea of the passage is that, see, democracy acts as an equalizer of power. Now, although this is an idea mentioned, this is not the central idea. Okay, so A cannot be my answer. This is very partial in scope. Okay, what about B? Democracy is the rule of the majority. This is just the definition. It's not the central idea. This is just the definition. Okay, so I'm going to put this as an irrelevant option. A functional democracy can only be built on a culture of rights and responsibilities. Yes. He is saying that yes, we as individuals have certain rights, but we should also have some responsibilities. Only then the democracy will work. So this could be one, solid answer that I can have. Cronyism and fractionalism can stifle democracy. Yes, it can stifle democracy. This statement in itself is true, but this is not the central idea of the passage. So the correct answer should be C. Now, the fourth question. The writer invokes spirituality in the context of Indian Constitution for which of the following reasons? So why did he compare spirituality with the Indian Constitution? That's basically what the question is asking. So Indian Constitution is a political equivalent of the religious texts of the subcontinent. Now see, this is exactly what the author is saying should not have happened. This is not what it is, right? So A won't be my answer. Indian Constitution is considered sacred. No, again not. Okay, Indian Constitution allows amendments and discussions of its fundamental laws. So A is my opposite answer in case you're wondering. Okay, B again, it is a rephrasement, but this is not the correct answer because this is also signifying something opposite than what the author is believing. Whereas C, Indian Constitution allows amendments and discussions. That means it's open to debate, it's open to change, right? Just like how the religious people or religious beings, the divine beings, Krishna, Shiva, all these examples, they were questioned, they were not accepted immediately, right? So this could be my possible answer. Now, Indian Constitution is akin to religious authoritarianism. That means it is similar. Akin means similar, which again is not what the author is trying to tell by showing us the comparison between Indian Constitution and this, right? So this will not be our correct answer. So the right answer for us will be C. So let me know in the comments how many questions you've got correct. If there's any doubts, please put that down in the comments as well. I'll respond back immediately. And for more such videos, keep watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.